pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. First item is consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Move consent, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Looks like we have an update from our pack for families. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for having me on this cold day. Drove all the way from Montevideo to see you guys. It was about a year ago, I was here presenting an update on PACT. I'm starting my third year as an executive director at PACT, so I know we have at least one new face here, so I wanted to just give a brief overview of what PACT is and kind of what we do. So back in the early 90s, state legislation formed collaboratives, and the collaboratives were formed to help fill gaps in services for mental health for children and families. So PACT for Families became a collaborative in 1993, and then since then, in 2011 was when McLeod County joined the collaborative. So we've been going for a very long time. We work to fill gaps in services for children with mental health and families with mental health challenges. We work with different partners across communities, including corrections, family services, public health, schools, different community organizations, just to pull everyone together to fill those gaps, to understand the needs of our communities when it comes to mental health, and just promote positive outcomes. So one of the groups that comes together for the collaborative, one of our committees, is the Local Advisory Committee. We have representation from all of our counties at the Local Advisory Committee, and we do meet monthly, but we are moving to 7 months out of the year now coming up for 2025. One of the things that we focus on for the LAC is May is Mental Health Month. So in May, we focus on mental health and the different challenges across the communities, also bringing resources, ensuring that families understand what's available for resources across the 5 counties. And one of the things that we did, if you actually want to turn to the other page, is the May is Mental Health Month, is one of the things that they focus on in that group. This year, or this past year in 2024, we did an initiative to raise awareness about mental health. So we did a Be Seen in Green contest, and at our collaborative meetings, we had everyone wear green for the May is Mental Health Month, and then we also put out a contest to our partners and community members to wear green and post on our social media. So that was kind of an exciting way to gain awareness and engage with our communities. So we had a couple winners from McLeod County, and you might recognize them. I don't know them, but because I don't know very many people in McLeod County, but there's a couple of the folks, educators, I believe, that were from Hutchinson that participated in that contest. So that was kind of fun. One of the other things that we did for May is Mental Health Month is distribute resource cards. The mental health resource cards are shown here. We did distribute them in English, Spanish, and Somali. So they provided vital resources for our community members and have a little QR code on there that will lead to another resource page on our website. It gives phone numbers for some of the mental health resources that are available in the communities, and we distribute those on a regular basis too. So, in McLeod County, we also have worked with the Burrich Foundation to provide sensory movies for families. So that provides families with an opportunity who normally probably can't go to a movie and engage in community activities like that because their kids maybe struggle from autism or different sensory disorders. So this opportunity helps to build belonging in our communities and gives family kind of an outlet for different activities where they can feel less judgment, and we're really happy and excited to be doing this with Burrich Foundation. And with the change in the theater ownership in Hutchinson. We're hoping that that will still continue, but we're kind of on pause right now. But be on lookout for those flyers for those events coming up in the future too. Some of the other things that we've done over the last year include community trainings and development initiatives. Some of the trainings that we've offered include trust-based relational intervention training. That's a training that focuses on trauma and how professionals, teachers, parents can work with kids who have experienced trauma and develop techniques and strategies to help them be more successful as they're having struggles. Youth mental health first aid is another training that we offer, and that is suicide prevention. So we work with different professionals and partners to ensure that they're handling suicide prevention in a way that's professional and can help kids as much as possible. The Ally training focuses on LGBTQIA+ population, so we offer training through the Trevor Project and Ally training to promote safer environments for youth who are experiencing some of those challenging conversations with their adults in their lives. The Be Extraordinary BU was also an opportunity to share information about cannabis with the legislation that has recently been put in place for, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. For cannabis, we have been talking with families about the risks of cannabis use, understanding the perception of harm when it comes to cannabis use, especially with our youth. I think that's been one of the focuses. PACT has the Partnership for Success program, which we'll talk about a little bit later as I go over all of our programs, but I know that McLeod County also has their own substance use prevention coalition that they work with too. So we're working to determine if there's better ways that we can collaborate with that group, since we have our own program here at PACT too. The Youth Leadership Academy brings youth together from all of our 5 counties and the school districts, giving them leadership opportunities, and is an opportunity for all of our counties to come together and learn about different opportunities that way. Our BRAIN conference just happened recently in November. Engagement for that was a little bit down this year, but I think it was a really great opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about suicide prevention and bullying and how we can address those things in our schools and our communities. So if you're looking for some information on that, we have a little bit of that on our website as well. We also offered discretionary grants, and in 2023, when I was here, I think I shared with you that I didn't have any discretionary grants for McLeod County. For this 2024, we did have 3 different requests. One was from the GSL Public School, and that was to help fund a week-long kindergarten camp. And then we also funded Corey Greenwood, which is a speaker that helped to engage students learn and grow as they explore simple ways to become more resilient when approaching life's obstacles. That one was he also went and spoke in Litchfield. So it was kind of a weird thing how it happened in Hutchinson, and then it transferred over to the other counties too. So that was a nice opportunity. We also supported a social emotional learning library at GSL, so that was another project that was great to get help with in that community, in this community. The discretionary grants that support all 5 counties include the Talking is Teaching initiative, which is an early childhood initiative that promotes talking to your kids and understanding the milestones that they're going through at the early ages of development. And then that was applied through the Wilmer School, but it was all for all 5 counties. So it goes out through the home nursing programs and through the hospitals when babies are born. So that was two years of funding for 2023 and 2024. One of our other initiatives that we support through our local collaborative time studies dollars and our budget through the collaborative was to support school social workers. And many of you are familiar with the transition that has occurred with the school social workers. The LCTS dollars are meant to be innovative and evidence-based practices that can be implemented throughout our communities to promote positive outcomes. And that's through the collaborative, the funding that was provided through the collaboratives in the early 90s. So back in those early 90 years, we were pulling in about $4 million a year. And as the progression of the collaborative has gone and the funding has changed, we're bringing in much less. We're bringing in about $425,000 a year through the local collaborative time studies. So as we have worked to ensure that we're filling those gaps within our communities, we've had to do a little bit of adjustment to our budget to determine what some of those new and innovative projects can be. And the School Social Workers Program has been funded since the early 90s. So as we were transitioning and our budget became tighter, we realized that we had to look at ways that we could equally support the schools across our counties, because there's 17 across the 5 counties. And at the time of this transition, we were supporting only 9 of the school districts through social workers. So we had to make a challenging decision about how we wanted to allocate some of those funds, and the CEO board did decide to change that and transition from 15% or 25% in 2022 down to 100% schools will employ their school social workers in 2025 and 2026. So that has been a bit of a challenge, and we're kind of working with schools to ensure that we can continue to collaborate with them. And we'll talk a little bit about the SHARE survey and other ways that we collaborate with schools as we get going here a little bit farther. If you want to turn the page one more time back to the beginning, or the end now. These are the programs that and initiatives that help us to support families across the 5 counties. So our Journey to Independence program started in 2020, and the first round of that grant ended in 2024. So that program focused on a youth aged 16 to 21 at the time. That program did come to an end, and we did receive an additional 4 years of funding through SAMHSA for that project, and we were able to expand the age from 16 down to 14. So we're reaching a wider group of people now from that 14 to 21-year-old age group, and we're supporting youth in fostering life skills and career development opportunities, offering culturally responsive programming, and also working with the families so that they can understand the diagnosis. That program specifically deals with youth who are diagnosed with serious emotional disorders or serious mental illness, so that does require a diagnosis to be in that program. It's a great program, and actually, I had some numbers here, one second. McLeod County actually has the highest number of youth that we serve in that program. In 2024, we serviced 14 youth, and in 2023, we serviced 18 youth. So that's a total of 37 youth in McLeod County that we serviced through that program to help them learn life skills, education enhancement. So once they've reached that high school age, transitioning into college and helping with support of that. Candy, Ojai County only had 38 youth, so you're right behind Candy, Ojai County on that one. We work with schools and different mental health providers through that program to make sure that kids can, and family services, so kids can transfer from youth-centered services to adult-centered services, because we know that sometimes during that transition some kids get lost. So we want to make sure that they have the services they need to be successful adults. In 2024, we have a new initiative that was very similar to the Journey to Independence program, but it also brought in youth who have developmental disabilities. So that program services youth from age 16 all the way to 25. So it gives us a little bit longer to help those kids transition into those adult roles and responsibilities, but some of the same focus with life skills, career exploration, education, just aligning them with community resources and making sure that they can transition from that youth service to adult services. Our family support services are expanding a bit in 2025. We did add one more position, a part-time family liaison to that program. We are still hiring for that position. In 23 and 24, we serviced 5 families in McLeod County. So that one's a little bit lower, but that one focuses more on families who just need someone to walk alongside them. Maybe they're experiencing a new diagnosis for a child, or they just need some additional supports, finding resources and different things. So we have a family liaison who works with families to support them in that way. Our Partnership for Success program runs in Yellow Medicine, Candy, Ojai, and Renville counties. So this was the substance use prevention coalitions that I was speaking about earlier. That program is actually coming to an end in 2025, and we're looking at a new proposal. So we will be reaching out to counties to determine if there's different ways that we can be innovative in the collaboration across the 5 counties with the substance use prevention. So that's an exciting opportunity for us. Any questions on anything that I've provided so far?
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, Sarah, first, thanks for coming in this morning and giving us your presentation. And I'm glad that you mentioned the mental health component and the crisis that we're all in. And we know there's not an easy fix to that. And I know that I think we have to lean on our state legislators to try and help us deal with mental illness. So one of the questions I had, are you doing a collaborative effort with our local mental health group to be continued here that is based in Glencoe?
So we have used To Be Continued. The only thing with To Be Continued is that they only service this county. So we do some work with them. It's been a couple years, I think, since we have, but yes, we have, and I will make sure to remind everyone at the office about that too. I also wanted to have Forrest come up and share a little bit about some of the collaborative efforts we've done for evaluation. So if you have questions about that, I'll let him answer those. But
Sounds good.
Thank you, Sarah. And Mr. Chair, one more question.
no problem.
When you need to counsel, let's say a young person or a family, do you go to them or do they come to you?
Sure. So we do not have any licensed therapists working for PAC for Family. All of our staff are unlicensed. So we do visit them in their homes for the Family Liaison and the Journey to Independence and Road to Success programs. But they're more like life coaches, and they provide referrals to the resources for different kinds of therapies and different supports within the communities as well. So we're kind of that connector, that bridge maker. But we do offer one-to-one support to families and youth in their homes. Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Now Forrest is just going to share a little bit. Oh,
I do
yep.
have a question. There was one of your programs, not sure which one it was, that required a diagnosis. Who does the diagnosis, or where does the referral come from?
Sure. So anyone can make a referral to our programs. And once we have the referral, we can help families get that diagnosis through a mental health provider. So we can make that referral. The waiting list is quite long to get a diagnostic done, but we do help families to get that referral. And we'll just put that on pause, maybe offer some family liaison services during that time so that they can still get the supports they need. And then we're also offering different resources in the communities too. And many times those referrals come from family services, so a lot of those families are already getting some supports, but we're just there to kind of walk alongside, ensure that they're getting all of the resources and supporting family services and public health in the work that they're doing as well.
One more question then. When you go to the schools, and I noticed actually the number to cover with the budget is not all of them. So
Right.
do you focus on the educators and administration, or do you focus, how do you go into a school?
So one of the struggles that I've had since I came into this position has been collaborating with schools. So we've been working with administrators, the superintendents, but we also work closely with the school social workers. Since we've had the opportunity to contract with several school social workers across the communities, it's been kind of an easy way to get into the school districts. But over the years, I think superintendents have kind of fallen off of the radar as far as it comes to PAC for Families. So we're working on enhancing those relationships and building engagement within the schools. In McLeod County, we've worked with Sarah at Hutchinson very closely. The REACH program also came and did some presentations at our collaborative meeting when it was in Renville County or at GSL. So they shared a little bit about the REACH program, which was a great opportunity for other schools across our 5 counties to learn about the REACH program and how it's affected students. And it's a great program, so I'm excited to see that that has expanded a little bit into some of the areas as well.
Okay, and the reason I asked that question, I mean, obviously with some of the problems in schools today, to recognize usually mental illness of one kind or another, I mean, it should be an add-on to support educators or nurses or whatever in the school to help recognize that person with issues, and I was just curious if that's what the end result would be.
Right, so we recently sent our program supervisors out to family service family service meetings so that they could share about our referral system and about our programs. The next step for that process is to head out to the schools and share with all of the schools our programs also. They do have access to our referral network just the same as other community members, so we just really want to engage with schools more. So we really have been working on trying to improve that.
Thank you.
Yes, you bet.
So you have something, another guest?
Real quick, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Forrester Rice, one of the evaluators at PAC for Families. So my hat is more the data side of things. And with that, we have the SHARE survey, which we go into the schools in all of our 5 counties. And we have this survey among students that covers different things from school climate, lifestyle factors, mental health, which includes like suicide, stress, bereavement, substance use, childhood experiences, and different student feedback, and a lot more. There's nearly 200 questions on it, so it's a really in-depth survey. And part of what that is it gives us data insights into our 5 counties, which are rural. And usually when you're looking at national data or even state data, it's very skewed towards urban areas. And it's hard to make a case for funding opportunities if we don't have more local data. So this is a good resource for us, and any community partners can have access to it as well. And with that, we normally did the survey in the springs, and it would have been this spring. But we shifted to the fall to alleviate the burden on schools, because spring is one of the busiest times for school districts with not just graduations, but they have state testing. They also have the Minnesota Student Survey, which is a similar thing, but on the state scale. And making that shift, we're hoping we'll be able to get better participation and just help the school districts out a little bit more by not making the end of the year so stressed. And then at the bottom of, I don't know if the little sheet here, I think you guys had it. That's just a snippet of one of the things of data that I pulled out of it. It's the ACE count, so that's adverse childhood experiences for anyone that's familiar with it. It's a study that was done, I believe in the 90s, and with that it was measuring how many adverse childhood experiences that people had and how it affected later in their adult life. And there's been several studies throughout the decades, and it predicts not only mental health, but even some physical health outcomes and life expectancies of people that had higher ACE counts. So tracking those and finding better ways to deal with them is a good thing to be able to help with initiatives in our areas. And for McLeod County in particular, the ACE count overall is less than the original study, which is a good thing. We want to see less ACEs. With 0 ACEs, just over half of the students reported no ACEs at all. The only slightly concerning thing is when we get to the higher ACE count, the 4+ ACEs, it's a little elevated. So it took away from more of the middle ones. And then another bit of data that I took out of the student survey, for an example, is our suicidal questions. So if they had thoughts of suicide, if they had a suicide plan, and then if they attempted suicide. And with that, really nice thing is McLeod is actually quite a bit lower than the national trend kept by the CDC. And this is another good example of why local data is nice, because we can show variations compared to what a national data source can show. And then in the fall, real quick, we did a community partner readiness assessment. That's on the back of that sheet. And that was just seeing how many community partners are ready to service people with serious emotional disturbances or serious mental health. And there was 42 community partners that responded out of the 5 counties. And one of the things is, I want to point out, is the leadership engagement on the key strengths, to where 82.6% report leadership commitment. So they believe that leadership really believe that this is an important thing that needs to be covered. However, it's kind of a paradox, because when you go to the challenges at the very bottom, the leadership involvement, only 13% of leaders are actively engaged in program implementation. So when you see a paradox like that in data, that means it's a red flag to kind of like look at it a little bit deeper. And it's what tools do we need to be providing leaders to get them more involved in these programs if they believe it is so important. So yeah, there's some of the data stuff if there's any questions at all.
Any questions from the board? All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming and great information. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue with our agenda, Health and Human Services. Barrett.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have one item for you today. Item A is to consider approving the local homeless prevention aid, or LHPA, service agreement with United Community Action Partnership, also referred to as UCAP, for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2026, at a cost of $155,275 with LHPA funds from the Individual and Family Social Services budget. The LHPA program was created by the 2021 Minnesota Legislature to help local governments ensure no child is homeless within a local jurisdiction by keeping families from losing housing and helping those experiencing homelessness find housing. McLeod County is one of those local jurisdictions and has been awarded $75,162 for the year 2025 and $81,113 for the year 2026, for a total of $155,275. For the LHPA program, UCAP staff will work with homeless or at-risk households to determine the appropriate program to serve them. In certain circumstances, more than one program may be utilized. The below is what UCAP agrees to provide. And that is what I'm asking today. This is a renewal. We have provided UCAP with our local homeless prevention aid dollars in the past. And I did receive a report, that with those dollars in the year 2023, all funds were spent by UCAP with a total of 87 individuals being served or 27 total households.
So UCAP manages the funds, correct?
Correct. So basically, we're the pass-through. We're getting those dollars, and we feel that UCAP is more equipped to manage those funds for us.
Mr. Chair, I'll move request.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Schmalz.
I think I remember when this came about last year, we talked about, it's not enough money to add staff. How do we make good use of the funding? And if you can correct me if I'm wrong, Barrett, but I think that's when the collaborative effort came up with UCAP. We felt that UCAP was better equipped to administer the program and the funds that are available. And I just wanted to let the public know that that's how this program is working and the cooperation we have with the UCAP.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Schmalz. We did have a long discussion with UCAP, with other counties, because other counties are also giving their money to UCAP. And so we wanted some sort of mechanism to ensure that our dollars are staying in McLeod County. And they put in place parameters to commit to that and ensure that that money's being spent on families in McLeod County that need it.
Thank you. Thank you, Barrett. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Good morning.
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 Consider adopting Resolution 25CB13 supporting the City of Winstead's application for an active transportation infrastructure grant to construct a 0.32-mile segment of new multi-use trail along CASA 1 in Winstead. This trail section will fill the gap of the trail where it intersects CASA 1 and will head north to the intersection of CASA 9. The city of Winstead is not a state aid city, thus they must have a county sponsor to be the fiscal agent for the AT grant. Winstead will be responsible for all costs not covered by the grant.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I will move resolution 25-CB13.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
to kind of bring some awareness to the public, the alignment of the loose line trail has been an issue maybe for 30 or 40 years, ever since the rail was abandoned. So I think we need to show some support for the city of Winston as they try to make this connection a little more feasible and palatable for the public use. And the connection is like Andrew stated, the issue is trying to get it from County Road 9 to County Road 1. And I just wanted to highlight that for the discussion, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes, I'm basically gonna say the same thing. Everything's here. There's nothing more I can say, and that's, in my opinion, what we are supposed to do is, Winstead did the work, and Winstead is putting guarantees on it. We're just conduit with them so they can get the money. I mean, it's all spelled out here. Thank you.
So we're not building the trail, we're not responsible for costs, we're just helping them potentially access funds to do that.
Correct, because there is no mechanism for a non-state aid city to receive funds through the Department of Transportation. They have to flow through McLeod County.
Very good.
I have a question,
Yes?
and I don't remember this, I think this pertains to both of the boards that I've been on, the COVID and the park and trail one, right? So they had come to COVID, or the ARPA funds to get money, but we pushed it back because it was more specific to Winstead, is that correct?
I don't know. Anybody remember that?
I
Or do
can't
they-
exactly remember being on the committee, but I know there was some talk about it,
And then the trail one too, it was,
I honestly don't remember how we left it. I thought that actually, that could have been the reason.
I thought it was like for both of those, it was a pushback because it was more for the town, not for the county as a whole, but I mean, if that's the case, I'm glad to see that Winstead is taking that extra step to finish that portion of it, so.
Right, I mean, well, it's obviously been a talking point for many years, the Dakota Trail and whatnot, and I don't see us, in all honesty, the growth of Winstead, and they work hard to they've got manufacturing, and they're working with their cities, and I sure don't wanna block anything. It's been, like it or leave it, it's been a sore spot in that trail, so I mean, God bless them that they're gonna take it on. And again, I had no qualms with it. I forgot about the conversation at the ARPA meetings, but I have no qualms with them being there, taking the responsibility of it, and I guess that's all I can say is, I mean, all three things it's all spelled out here, and I have no issues with it.
The ARPA, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Yep.
The ARPA dollars instead were used for the county park connection, but actually with the Public Works Highway, doing some work to make sure that the participants, or not participants, but users of the trail could get from the trail up to the county park. So they were going to do some improvements there, and I don't know that, I think that those are completed, but Andrew wasn't involved in that.
I
That
was
was
not
before
involved.
his time,
Yep.
so, I would have to pull up the map and look. But yeah, instead it was done that way so that it would benefit the whole county. Thank you.
Which has been traditional, how we dealt with the funds as a whole, from the committee to the board. Yes, Doug?
Yeah, that does ring the bell. That's what we talked about, is that connection with the park. I mean, it had to do with the parks. Now I do remember that, but I still don't remember how we left it, but that was where the conversation came from, for the connection to the city.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Information technology.
Mr. Chair, I'll present for Matt.
Very good.
Thank you. Item A, consider approving the annual statement of work with the Minnesota Security Consortium for virtual chief information security office services at a cost not to exceed $20,650 with funds from the information technology budget. This is a program that we've been utilizing the past couple of years, well, since 2022. Over the past year, IT submitted continued addressed security vulnerabilities, updated security and risk assessments, and continued work on draft security policies. We've had the same representative from the company the entire time, so that has been helpful, and would like to continue the work.
Any questions? I can move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it,
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Discussion or rationalization, I'm not sure, but I do have a lot of trust in Matt, and just following my own emails and different things with IT, I trust his judgment, and therefore supporting the motion.
Agreed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, on to county administration review of the calendars.
Well,
Doug?
that's what I got down on this end. I have to
Doug?
You gotta start out.
Sometimes the chair gets to move people around.
It's been a light schedule, to be honest. We had our workshop after the board meeting on the 7th, and since then, I've also had a Trailblazer meeting. Again, changing leadership there. I was chair, and now I'm not, and our new commissioner will be serving on the leadership there, so that, to me, is a good thing. So, and then I had agenda review, and I had a meeting on 12A, or ditch 12 here in my district. We have a railroad underpass there, or culvert under the railroad, and deciding what actions to take to move forward to clean the ditch or make it function to the best of its ability. And also a MRF meeting, and I had a short MRF committee meeting, and then we had a short meeting with our highway and parks. That brings me to today. Thank you.
Okay. I think on my list, Commissioner Kruger mentioned our MRF meeting. We do have some potential program tweaks coming up, and so we're actually going to start meeting a little more often, and then also develop a full board meeting shortly down the road with some potential that's out there. From there, Commissioner Kruger and I went and visited with Public Works on how the budgets and projects are aligning for parts for the upcoming year. Also had a chance to have lunch with our economic development director on some future plans for that committee, and maybe some things that we can look at for some opportunities. Met with one of our constituents on some potential tweaking on our feedlot ordinance, and so we'll see where some differences might come from that. Looking forward to this coming Monday evening when we have our ribbon cutting ceremony at our new building at the McLeod County Fairgrounds. I know the public is waiting in line to rent that one, so we'll get that process started. That's it for me.
All right, very good. After the last meeting, we had a rather long, lengthy workshop, but very productive one. Over the last couple of weeks, worked on the committee assignments some, had some personnel things come up. Had a meeting with a constituent regarding the fairgrounds, and their compliments on what we're doing, but also trying to remember the original design of the fairgrounds and how we can keep that as we grow with that, so we don't, look like any other fairgrounds, or keep the integrity of the original ideas and the planners who did that some 30-some years ago, I guess now. But it was a very productive, very positive meeting that was good for me to have, and I'm passing that on to you, so more to come on that. I was scheduled, as part of the chair, I'm gonna try to participate in the agenda review a little more. Not that they're not doing a great job, and I appreciate what they're doing, but it just would help me to be more efficient as we run the meetings, but it was the first one and I forgot about it. So I missed it right out of the blocks. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Chair Nagel. For me, since our last board meeting, as mentioned previously, we had a workshop after our board meeting on the 7th. And then on the 8th, I participated with a Zoom meeting hosted by Matt Cassidy of AMC. Matt Cassidy is basically in charge of the training opportunities that AMC gives us. And the topic was Narcan and how it's distributed, how it's available, its use, its expirations. So it was targeted for commissioners. And shout out to Wright County. Wright County was basically giving the presentation for the Narcan Zoom, and it was very informational. And then right after I got off the Narcan Zoom, I went online and watched the Pact for Families Zoom meeting that afternoon as well. And then Thursday, the 9th, Prime West Joint Powers Board drove to Alexandria, and it was pretty much business as usual. Most of the day was spent on orientation and a welcome to the new Joint Powers Board members on Prime West. And last week, I'll just mention that I completed my Board of Appeal training on the 16th, and that brings us to today, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think that's something that I have to get done too, so thank you for the reminder. All right, sounds like you got a new job.
I did, yeah. After last week's 2 weeks ago, the workshop, I actually took a little vacation and came home from that, and then I was out sick for a couple days. So it's been I think I lost the last 2 weeks somewhere, but I was able to attend the Trailblazer Transit via phone, so that worked out well. I got a little bit of taste of that, and I think because I wasn't there, I got nominated by Doug, so I'm the new recorder. But he said he's gonna help me out, so that's perfect. Being home though, I was able to do a lot of training. I also did the video or the meeting with AMC for the Narcan training. I did new employee training, I did my OSHA training, I did security training, and I got the Board of Equalization and Appeal training done as well. And then I also contacted a bunch of the committees that I was nominated on just to introduce myself and, ask if they had anything that I needed. So they sent me a bunch of bylaws and joint power agreements and meeting schedules and kind of their idea of when they meet and stuff like that. So that was really helpful for me. It was nice to hear PAC today too. So I kind of got an idea of that. Yeah, that is what I've been up to. So thank you.
Sounds like you've hit the ground running, and yes, there's certain meetings you don't miss, because you don't want to get that extra job. Yeah. So,
It made sense. It was kind of like the
Yep.
Planning and Zoning Committee with the county. It
Yep.
made sense since I will be there longer than Doug unless we can get him to run again in 2 years.
anything from the attorney's office?
Office is off to a busy start. Last week, myself and another assistant county attorney each had jury trials Wednesday through Friday, one involving threats of violence and a felon in possession of ammunition, and the other domestic assault. So I'm pleased that both of those came back with guilty verdicts late Friday. So other than that, just plugging away. Thank you.
Very good. All right, moving on, county administration, Sheila or Stefan, who's Stefan?
I can present the items.
Sure.
Thank you. Item A, consider adopting resolution 25-CB-10, County Commissioner Committee appointments. We
Just
went
so,
over this in the
Nope.
workshop at our last meeting.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. That was part of the length of the workshop. Administration did a nice job of laying that out and organizing it. Stefan, anything you need to bring up that we didn't talk about last week? I know there's been some
Yes.
mutual moving
Yep.
and trading, if you will.
Yep.
So,
A couple of changes, Commissioner Schmalz, if you can.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
yes, please.
Yeah, a little bit of discussion about our assignments and giving it a little more thought about mine specifically. And there's a couple of things that I discussed where I was still interested in serving on the UCAP Joint Powers Board as an alternate. Basically because of the continuity, me being there for 4 years, and me giving it some thought that I still have a couple open issues that I want to follow through on with UCAP. So that was a request that I brought forward and hopefully can be agreed upon. And the second one was kind of the same thing with supporting hands. I also would like to be listed as the alternate on supporting hands because of the continuity. I've been there for 4 years and would like to stick with that continuity, and I think that's probably the best decision that I can do and the best way I contribute to McLeod County in maintaining those alternate positions on those two.
Very good, so.
If that's agreeable with Commissioner Nagel and Commissioner Kruger, to give those positions up to me, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, that's just fine. Stefan, you want to go over any other changes or anything you think we need to bring up before we approve the list?
So I think Commissioner Schmalz did have another, but I just wanted to say quickly, so these changes that Commissioner Schmalz has mentioned, they're not reflected in the background packet that's online right now. They will be reflected, obviously, in the final resolution, and I can update the packet once we're done. But I think Commissioner Schmalz had one more thing to discuss.
And additional comment, Mr. Chair, with, you know, kind of doing a little bit of horse trading, there was a discussion about how to serve central Minnesota jobs and training. Both Commissioner Chuchka and I have absolutely no continuity with the group at this time. So I think if it would be palatable, I would gladly give up the Central Minnesota Jobs duty to another commissioner.
Mr. Chair.
And I think Commissioner Chuchka feels the same way.
Commissioner Kruger?
Commissioner Smalls did talk to me about that. I have no objections. I'll do what I can. I have no continuity with it either, and I don't have, but I'll give it a try, and it'll be what it'll be, but I'll see how it works, but bottom line, no objections as long as it's written into the minutes and we do it the way it's supposed to be done. Now, that's the only real big change that I have, is that correct?
Yeah, and then I think,
I mean,
It
I've
may-
been doing some scratch.
I think it makes most sense, Doug, yeah, that'd be the change that we have throughout, and then I would take the alternate spot, all right, on that? All right,
So Commissioner
gentlemen.
Nagel, you will take the alternate position at Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, and Commissioner Kruger, you will be the primary.
correct,
Very good.
all right. Everybody good? All right, so we'll need a motion to approve the commissioner committee appointments.
So moved.
Lori got it, if somebody did.
Well, we're not gonna keep score, but
Yeah.
motion by Commissioner Chachka, second by Commissioner Wright. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair, just the discussion, I mean, if something goes terribly wrong here, there's nothing to stop us from having that discussion
Yep.
and doing some, I don't see that, but I mean, I just wanna put that in.
Nope, that's always something that we can talk about as we move forward, so. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the staff appointments.
Item B, consider adopting resolution 25-CB-11 county staff committee appointments. Again, discussed at the last workshop. Were there any changes since the meeting?
There are no changes reported to me since the meeting.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C?
Thank you. Consider adopting resolution 25-CB-12 citizen committee appointments. Again, discussed at our last board workshop. Stefan, have you had any changes since?
No changes. I would just note that we may need to add one or two more in the future, since we've had, I think, a couple people leave committees.
Sure.
Very good. All right,
Move to approve.
motion by Commissioner Kruger,
Second?
second by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just want to thank Stefan Wiblemo for all of his work on those 3 lists are difficult to track and make sure that they're organized, and he's done a nice job of maintaining what Liz handed off to him a few years ago, so thank
I
you.
think the board would agree. Thank you.
Item D, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, February 4, 2025, at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue, North Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
All right. Point our agenda, open forum, press relations. Anyone have any questions or wish to address the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to thank, I forgot in my calendar report, I want to thank the staff or whoever did the flag arranging yesterday to bring the flag up to full staff and then lowering again this morning. So thanks for the cold fingers.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
just want to note that if other local governments did notice that we had them change, it was upon request and it wasn't required for local, just for federal and state, so they were not behind. Mark Teletsky reminded me of that yesterday morning when he was helping out with it, so thank you to Joel Morgan for arranging his staff to take care of that in this nice weather.
All right, looking for a motion to recess till our next meeting, 9 a.m. Tuesday, February 4th at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue, North Glencoe, Minnesota.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright,
Second.
second by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Take a few minutes, get organized, and we'll start the workshop.